How does a young mother's fight for safety end in a devastating tragedy? Gabriella Dixon, an 18-year-old from Macon, Georgia, was dedicated to her two children and determined to leave an abusive relationship with Reginald Harris. But the escalating violence led to her disappearance and months later, the discovery of her remains. Welcome back to True Crime Files Edition. Today we delve into the devastating story of Gabriella Dixon, a young mother who struggled to escape a cycle of abuse, ended in tragedy, revealing the stark realities that can turn a life upside down. Gabriella Dixon was born on April 25, 2005, to her mother, Gabriella Searcy. From the very beginning, she was cherished dearly by her mother, who always wanted the best for her daughter. Growing up in Macon, Georgia, Gabriella was surrounded by family who cared deeply for her, shaping her into a young woman determined to overcome life's challenges. Her mother's love was evident in how she nurtured Gabriella, always supporting her growth and well-being. By the time she reached adulthood, Gabriella had already embraced the responsibilities of being a young mother. At 18 years old, she was raising two children of her own. Her family often spoke of Gabriella's dedication to her kids, describing her as a person who never hesitated to put her children first. She ensured they were well taken care of, doing whatever it took to provide them with love and support, much like her mother cared for her. Gabriella's focus on her children was unwavering, and her maternal instincts shone through in her everyday actions. Life, however, had its challenges for Gabriella. She and the father of her children, Reginald Harris, were not in a good place in their relationship. He was emotionally and physically abusive towards Gabriella. The strain between them was palpable, and Gabriella had come to the realization that she no longer wanted to be with him. The years of abuse she suffered at the hands of Reginald weighed heavily on her, and she began to see separation as the only way forward. Her priority was the well-being of herself and her children, and it was becoming increasingly clear that staying with Reginald would not provide the healthy environment she wanted for her family. On September 3, 2023, tensions between Gabriella and Reginald escalated to a dangerous level. Reginald allegedly followed Gabriella, their two children, and another man as they drove in their car. He then opened fire, endangering everyone in the vehicle. After the shooting, Reginald confronted Gabriella, accusing her of disrespecting him by allowing another man to be near their children. It was clear that Reginald's jealousy and possessiveness had taken a dark turn, and the situation was becoming increasingly volatile and frightening for Gabriella. Following this incident, Gabriella decided to report Reginald's actions to the authorities. She went to the police, explaining what had happened, and provided further evidence to support her claims. She also showed the deputies a threatening text message she had received from Reginald, which read, "Don't be surprised when I knock on the door." This message underscored the fear Gabriella was living with. Reginald's threats were not only verbal, but were reinforced through intimidating actions, leaving her feeling unsafe and unsure of what he might do next. The situation took an even darker turn weeks later on September 23rd. On that day, Reginald allegedly attacked Gabriella in their apartment, choking her and holding her at gunpoint. During the terrifying ordeal, Reginald threatened to kill Gabriella if she ever left him. This threat made it clear that he was willing to use extreme violence to maintain control over her, and it left Gabriella in a desperate and dangerous position. She was terrified for her life, especially with Reginald's escalating behavior. When deputies responded to the incident, they noticed bruises on Gabriella's neck, confirming that she had endured a violent assault. They urged her to seek a restraining order against Reginald to protect herself and her children from further harm. The deputies recognized the severity of the situation and the need for legal intervention to prevent any future violence. However, despite their recommendation, no court documents indicated a restraining order had been filed. The absence of such legal protection left Gabriella in an incredibly vulnerable position, still exposed to Reginald's threats. Gabriella Dixon's life took an unexpected and tragic turn on October 30th, 2023. On that day, Reginald dropped off their children at the home of Gabriella's mother in Macon. This seemed to be an ordinary occurrence, but the events that followed raised deep concern. The last time Cersei spoke to Gabriella was around 6 p.m., after which all contact with her suddenly ceased. Cersei tried to reach Gabriella multiple times, but her calls went unanswered, and worry grew as the hours passed. When the children arrived at Cersei's home, it became apparent that something was terribly wrong. The 2-year-old child said to Cersei, "Mama was in blood." The older child, in an attempt to comfort the younger one, added, "It was okay, Mama is sleeping." These words, spoken by her grandchildren, immediately set off alarm bells for Cersei. She felt a deep sense of dread as she realized the children had witnessed something very disturbing. Cersei's growing fears led her to question Reginald directly about Gabriella's whereabouts, but his behavior only added to her suspicions. When asked where Gabriella was, Reginald claimed that she was at work. However, Cersei knew this could not be true because Gabriella's laptop, essential for her job, was still at home. Reginald's evasive and suspicious behavior made Cersei increasingly worried about her daughter's safety. There were too many inconsistencies in Reginald's account, and it was becoming clear that something had gone terribly wrong. The uneasy feeling in Cersei's heart grew stronger as she feared for her daughter's well-being. The following day, on October 31st, 2023, Cersei could no longer wait in uncertainty. She went to the Bibb County deputies and reported Gabriella missing, hoping for swift action to find her daughter. The fear and confusion of not knowing what had happened to Gabriella were unbearable. She contacted law enforcement, provided them with the details she knew, and urged them to take immediate action. Gabriella's family and friends also informed the deputies that they had not seen or heard from her in 2 days, intensifying the urgency of the situation. On November 1st, 2023, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office publicly announced that Gabriella Dixon was missing and asked for the public's assistance in locating her. The disappearance was now officially recognized, and efforts to find her were set in motion. The community and Gabriella's family were left in shock, fearing the worst. The mysterious circumstances surrounding her disappearance, Reginald's suspicious behavior, and the chilling words of the young children painted a distressing picture. The search for Gabriella was now a matter of utmost urgency as her loved ones held on to hope for her safe return. A week after Gabriella Dixon's disappearance, on November 7th, 2023, Reginald was arrested, not for her disappearance, but on unrelated family violence charges. He had become a suspect in the case, and his arrest was seen as a significant development. The following day, Reginald made his first court appearance in Bibb Superior Court before Judge Jerome Sinclair. He faced 5 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of battery, and 1 count of terroristic threats, all stemming from prior incidents of violence involving Gabriella. The charges highlighted Reginald's troubling history, but they did not bring direct answers regarding her disappearance. A few days after Reginald's arrest, authorities made another arrest. A man named Jatarvius Price was detained in connection with Gabriella's case. Jatarvius was charged with making false statements and tampering with evidence, but the extent of his involvement remained unclear. His arrest raised more questions about what had happened to Gabriella, suggesting there might be more individuals involved in her disappearance. The uncertainty surrounding Jatarvius' role added another layer of complexity to an already puzzling case. On January 8, 2024, 2 indictments were filed. One of the indictments charged both Reginald and Jatarvius with concealing physical evidence connected to Gabriella's disappearance. Specifically, they were accused of hiding a foam mattress and fabric on the day Gabriella was reported missing. The concealment of these items cast further suspicion on Reginald and Jatarvius, suggesting an attempt to cover up crucial evidence. The second indictment brought additional charges against Reginald for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm with intent to commit a felony, referring to the September incident where he allegedly shot at a car carrying Gabriella, their children, and another man. Weeks later, Reginald faced even more legal trouble. He was indicted on multiple charges, including 2 counts of aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, terroristic threats, and battery. However, these charges were unrelated to Gabriella's disappearance, instead stemming from previous incidents of family violence. The new indictments portrayed Reginald as a man with a violent history, but they still provided no clarity on Gabriella's whereabouts or what had happened to her. After several months of searching, on July 24, 2024, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office responded to a call about skeletal remains found near Highway 87 and Bowdoin Road. Deputies arrived at the scene where construction workers led them to a wooded area containing the remains. The discovery raised the possibility that they belonged to Gabriella Dixon, who had been missing since October 2023. To confirm this, the remains were sent to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab for identification. When Gabriella's mother, Gabriella Searcy, was informed of the discovery, she expressed her belief that the remains were those of her daughter. She mentioned that the red hair color and clothing found on the remains matched Gabriella's, making her 99% sure it was indeed her daughter. This brought a heartbreaking realization to her family, who had been enduring the uncertainty of Gabriella's fate for nearly a year. While painful, the discovery provided a sense of closure that had previously eluded them. In response to the development, authorities took swift action. That same afternoon, Jatarvius Price, who had previously been implicated in Gabriella's disappearance, was arrested once again, now as a person of interest in connection with her death. Jatarvius faced a new charge of conspiracy to commit murder, pointing to a deeper involvement in Gabriella's fate than had initially been believed. His arrest marked a significant escalation in the case, suggesting that investigators were beginning to uncover the truth behind Gabriella's disappearance. Furthermore, a warrant was served for Reginald, linking him directly to the murder of Gabriella Dixon. Reginald, who was already facing numerous charges related to previous incidents of violence involving Gabriella, was now formally implicated in her death. This new warrant indicated that authorities had gathered enough evidence to pursue Reginald as a key figure in her murder, marking a significant step forward in the investigation. Just weeks before Gabriella's disappearance, she wrote about the abuse she had suffered at the hands of Reginald. She wrote, "He would hit me. It started when I was 16. The first time he did it, he apologized and said he snapped, and it would never happen again. I didn't tell anyone because he was my first real boyfriend, my first true love. He knew to shower me with gifts because I came from a family that only had enough to make sure we had what we needed. He knew that I was the black sheep of the family, so he listened to my problems and always offered for me to come run away to his house. He knew that I didn't experience much, so he made sure to introduce me to things, so I can always have that first-time moment with him. He knew to show just enough interest in me, but not too much to keep me chasing him because he knew I craved attention. He knew I was shy and more introverted, so he encouraged me not to have friends and that we would be each other's friend. He knew I always had a hard time feeling pretty, so at first he made me feel more beautiful than anyone else ever did in my life. Then he made sure to point out my biggest insecurities. Then he would never compliment me, so I stopped feeling confident and making an effort. He knew to always be a charmer to my family, to make sure he always looked like a good young man. He came to church with us faithfully to every event. He would come over just to sit in the living room, and when we had our first child, he didn't leave. So everyone loved him, and he did no wrong. When it started happening more frequently, I didn't really process it. It felt like a dream, like I was one of those wives in those movies. Afterwards, I would think, this can't be happening to me. I'm only a teenager. Maybe if I keep crying and stop fighting back, he will stop. It didn't help that by now, he had completely isolated me, so I had no one to vent to about this. He was my only friend. My relationship with my mom wasn't great because I always ran away. He encouraged me to argue with her. And as for my siblings, he knew that I didn't have a relationship with them, So he took advantage by further dividing us by forming bonds with them, making me seem like the bad person to get advice on how to deal with me. It even got to the point that he was so close to them, they wouldn't even tell me, their blood sister, that he would cheat. Gabriella also wrote a poem about the abuse she suffered at the hands of Reginald. She wrote, "I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Last night, he threw me into a wall and started to choke me. It seemed like a nightmare. I couldn't believe that it was real. I woke up this morning sore and bruised all over. I know he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. It wasn't our anniversary or any other special day. Last night, he threw me into a wall and then started choking me. It seemed unreal, a nightmare, but you wake up from nightmares. And I woke up this morning sore and bruised all over. But I know he is sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. And it wasn't Valentine's Day or any other special day. Last night, he beat me and threatened to kill me. Makeup and long sleeves didn't hide the cuts and bruises this time. I couldn't go to work today because I didn't want anyone to know. But I know he's sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. And it wasn't Mother's Day or any other special day. Last night, he beat me again, and it was worse than all of the other times. If I leave him, what will I do? How will I take care of the kids? What about money? I'm afraid of him, but I'm too scared and dependent to leave him. But he must be sorry because he sent me flowers today. I got flowers today. Today was a special day. It was the day of my funeral. Last night he killed me. If only I would have gathered the courage and strength to leave him. I could have received help from the women's shelter, but I didn't ask for their help. So I got flowers today for the last time. It is incredibly sad that this young woman and many others' lives are cut short at the hands of evil abusers. May her beautiful soul rest in peace. What do you think about Gabriella Dixon's heartbreaking story? Could more have been done to prevent this tragedy? What steps do you think are crucial for protecting victims of in situations like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you found this video meaningful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, look out for each other, and I'll see you soon with another compelling case. Until then, goodbye.